Hello, guys. It's Scott here for Tuesday Night Live. Well, thank you for joining us, and we love all the support you give us. On tonight's show, we'll be talking to two of the newest leaders in the international organization known as IBRBS or IBRBS. We will also be joined by the board chair as they all share their exciting visions for where IBRBS is going. But first, the opening of tonight's show is brought to you by North Pole Cornerstones, a unique and entertaining educational experience. This is Tuesday Night Live. Now let's get started by introducing the gentleman who is always working overtime to bring the Christmas industry the newest and coolest items. With the stuff, we can all bring the magic of the season to life by helping us all deliver that believable performance as Claus performers. If you have the tools and the knowledge, anything is possible. Please stand on your head for my bud, Spangle.
Oh, hey. Hello. Oh, wow. Hello there. Hey, after that trip to Florida, getting back and having to do all this work, trying to get everything caught back up, and another double whammy, we are going to Lancaster. So it's like packing things, getting them shipped, bringing them in, getting them ready, load up the van, and head out, man. We have been busy.
So what you're saying, Spangle, is if we need help and instructions on packing and unpacking and packing, you're the key element for that, right?
I might need to ask my wife because she says Spangle leave. Go.
Well, there's some truth to that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, before we move on, everyone say hi to our producer, everyone's favorite member of our team, the beautiful and amazing Angela Mack.
Hello.
Hey, Angela. Here's a thought. Check out some of our past shows on our YouTube channel, The Tuesday Night Live Show 1225. You don't want to miss a single show. You just don't. So please like, subscribe, comment on our YouTube videos. And the first half of the TNL Show Trivia is brought to you by the SOS School of Santas 2025, hosted by Spangle in the picturesque Ozark Mountains, Branson, Missouri, where fun and education meet.
Read about it reporting for TNL Chatterbox News. School of Santas 2025 will be held July 17th through the 20th in beautiful, picturesque Branson, Missouri, right in the heart of the Ozark Mountains. If you've been before, then you know all about the 4 days of festivities that School of Santas is best known for. Each year, the host facility, Americ Inn by Wyndham, Branson, and Conference Center, is home to over 100 clauses for the weekend and is centrally located in the middle of everything Branson. If you have never attended SOS, what are you waiting for? You are missing out on one of the Claus community's premier educational opportunities. For more information on price and to ensure your place at the next School of Santas, contact Tanya Lay at Branson Ticket and travel today at 800-432-4202. Again, that's 800-432-4202 and get registered today. I'm Read About It reporting. Now back over to you guys in the TNL studio.
Hey, I think that reporter knows a lot.
Spangle.
Yeah. So anyways, let's let these people read this trivia for a minute. This is going to get your name in the hat for the School of Santas as well as Cornerstones. So, there's a double 2-for-1 thing there. So you may win one, you may win two, you may win them both. Anyways, get your names in there. And let's go on with this trivia here. What year was Spangle Putty discovered? What year was Silly Putty discovered and by who? What year was it introduced to the public and by who? And who acquired the exclusive manufacturing rights to Silly Putty and what year? So who discovered it, and when, and what year it was introduced to the public, and by who, and who makes it, and what year. So there we go, guys. Get your answers in there, and let's see what you got.
Get to typing. Google, Google, Google. You want to read it one more time, Spangle, for him?
Okay, so what year was Silly Putty discovered, and by who? What year was it introduced to the public, and by who? Who acquired the exclusive manufacturing rights to Silly Putty, and what year?
So we're looking for 6 answers.
6. You know why we're looking for 6 answers, don't you?
Well, you tell me.
Because we went and seen 6 in Branson last year.
Oh, you're so right, Spangle. We did, and that was an amazing performance. And hey, if you love good shows, the SOS is the place to be. Am I right?
I'm hoping so. Anyways, let's get on with this. In 2012, the Christmas community changed forever. When IBRBS emerged from a few hundred clauses in 2012 to more than 2,000 members today, IBRBS is paving the way to provide a Christmas performers the resources and support they need to be the best clause possible. It's all part of achieving its vision to be the premier Christmas organization for professional Santas, Mrs. Clauses, elves, and all the other supporters.
IBRS has a unique approach. It's member-driven, and that means IBRBS sets its mission based on the needs and wishes of its members. Tonight, we'll be talking to 2 of the newest leaders of the international organization, James Kelly, President and CEO, and John MacLeod, Membership Officer. They, along with Deanna Golden, Board Chair, will be sharing the exciting visions where our IBRBS is going, good things to look for, and to answer any of your questions.
All right. For those of you who are already IBRBS members, you'll appreciate hearing from these new leaders and their new ideas to take IBRBS into the future. For those of you considering joining IBRBS, you will also appreciate hearing what IBRBS has to offer and how to be part of the international organization. If you're not familiar with IBRBS, then you're in some nice surprises about an organization whose sole purpose is to help and to support you as a professional clause. Let's begin by bringing in our board chair, Deanna Golden.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Deanna, and welcome back to Tuesday Night Live.
Good to be here. Thanks.
Deanna on because
You are our favorite Deanna Golden.
Our favorite, right? She always brings the best guests with her and content that always is so useful as clauses. Deanna, we are going to let you introduce these 2 gentlemen. So let's begin with Jim.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Spangle. It's an honor to be here again. You know, this time we all wear a lot of different hats during our Christmas personas and stuff. And so one of the hats I'm wearing tonight is as board chair of IBRBS. It's a lot easier to say than IBRBS for me. So it's really nice that we've had some changes this year as our board of directors has changed and our leadership has changed. So the visions and the energy that these 2 gentlemen are bringing in is just awesome to see and hear them. So let's start with Jim Kelly, who was elected as the president and CEO this past August. And he is his energy and vision is just phenomenal. I can't wait for you to hear it. Jim comes from New Jersey, but please don't hold that against him. If you've come across Jim at any conference, you probably have met his wife, Florence, who is feverishly knitting or crocheting some Christmas things. So the question that I have is, Jim is going to be coming in, other than another congratulations on leading this 2,000 member organization, is we are going to ask, he's got quite an experienced background. His other life before Claus. Can you imagine a science and education and physics professional? How on earth do you take those things and now find yourself into Santa. How did you make that step? Tell us about your journey.
Well, yes, I'm from New Jersey. And if you want to find me on the map, don't ask for an exit because I'm not near one. So I'm not by any exit. I started, I guess, start at the beginning. Grew up in a little town, 880 people. That might be a metropolis for some people, but that was a little town in Hunterdon County. When I went off to college, I decided to help people. So I became a science teacher. Ended up teaching physics for about 20 years. And then I ended up being a supervisor. And both of those things had the same experiential background. One, when I was hiring a teacher, I only asked them one question. What do you teach? High school teachers have a tendency of saying, oh, I teach math, I teach science, I teach chemistry. I didn't hire those people. They had to say, I teach children. If they didn't teach children, I don't want them. It's the same kind of philosophy as when you're working with children. You've got to be looking into their eyes. And I think that's probably what got me. Well, how I became Santa, 13 years ago, I retired, stopped shaving. First of all, I haven't seen my upper lip since I was 18. I don't have any idea what this looks like underneath there. But I stopped shaving and this grew in. And I spent about 5 years looking down at little children going, no, I'm sorry, I'm not Santa. And then one hot Florida afternoon in Hollywood Studios, I was sitting by the old splash fountain in Hollywood Studios, and I heard this little pitter patter of feet. And I wasn't really paying attention. Next thing you know, I'm sitting back and this little boy popped up onto my lap. Now, I was in education. Little boy or little girl comes up to you and gets that close to you. I didn't do this. I'm not touching them, you know. And a little old man finally catches up with his grandson. Explains to me in broken English that they're from Brazil and that he saw me and told his grandfather, I'm going to get a picture with Papa Noel. I think that's the right one. And he wanted to know if I could get a picture with him. And I melt right then. And that started the journey. And that's where Santa Jim Kelly came from. That little boy from Brazil was looking up at me, you know, and what am I going to know? So that's how I got done.
Love you, little kid. See you later.
Yeah, I'm not touching him. I didn't do this. But, you know, then I at least did one of these, at least put my arm over his shoulder with all my hands showing and everything. But then I was looking around for a way to get involved. And believe it or not, the pandemic broke out. So I applied to be on the board. And here I am now, board member, volunteer coordinator, governance officer, and now president and CEO, hoping that I can make, well, first thing, I am standing on the shoulders of the giants who came before me. Everything is set up. I just need to take it the next level. And the people who came before me, they put in a great foundation. We just need to build it out and build it up a little more. That's where I am. Does that get me any applause? Anybody? No. Okay.
That's a very, very neat way of expressing and how you became Santa. I think it's very extraordinary and a great story. Thanks for sharing that. What of all the places that you could contribute to and bring your experience and skills, why IBRBS?
It was a big organization. It was, what I saw were wonderful people. And I also saw my own little state didn't really have a chapter or a group that was active. So I wanted to I knew there's Santas out there. I mean, the guy lives in my town. He introduced me to some of the little gigs I got when I was first starting out. And he inspired me. And we now have about 50 members, Garden State Santas. And that's our whole, that's our core. That's the core of IBRBS. That's where it all happens. That's when the rubber meets the road. It's the people. It's the gentlemen getting together and the ladies. And I have one Santa in training, James Jr. But that's where it all happens. It really does. And we need more and more people. Like I was just talking to Bill from Long Island today. He's a Santa out on Long Island. And he was having a little trouble with the website. So we got him I got him into our membership officer who does the insurance and stuff. And we got him to help him out. So hopefully that's going to be going. And hopefully there's nothing we have to fix on the website. And it was just something that just got in his way. But that's where I like to be. I like to be helping.
I have a lot of those things on the internet that get in my way.
And they usually start with you.
Yeah.
No. So Jim, in a lot of the communications and the way we talk about IBRBS is member driven. Just about every communication that goes out mentions IBRBS is a member driven. It's all over the website. It's all over everything that we do. Why is that so important, and how does that affect what it is that we do or don't do? How does that factor in from your point of view?
From my point of view, from what I've seen so far, we've been getting some surveys and some information back from people, but we need more people to help and volunteer and get into our committees, because we need to fill out our committees so people can actually get the information from the membership, bring it back to us, because we're lacking in that respect. We're not getting enough we want to do more, but what do you want? I mean, I'm looking at, I know John who's got to come on in a minute or two, is working on some stuff, but I know I'm working on a few things that would just help the members. And one of the things I'm going to really want to help the members with is I want there to be so much more transparency to this group. I want people to know what we're doing, not that we're just hidden in a boardroom, which doesn't even exist. It's a virtual boardroom. But I don't want people to they're just over there and they do something and we get insurance from them. We've got to get ourselves out there. We've got a good reputation. We've got, like I said, we had wonderful leadership before us who did a lot. And right now, I'm just going to thank them all the way back to 2012 and beyond, because there's other predecessors who worked on those things too. And those people are important. And without them, we would not be here. We would not be able to come on here and talk to you about the things that this organization does, and really even the insurance that we have provide for chapters when they have meetings. Mostly even the chapters that I've talked to don't know that a chapter meeting is covered by our insurance. So that if you go and meet at, say, a local restaurant and something happens, that restaurant can feel better about knowing that you're covered in case of something. So there's a lot of little things out there that people just don't know about yet. And quite frankly, in the first 13 days of my office, I'm still learning a bunch of things. So we're going to get there together, but I know we got a beautiful and bright future.
You know, if I remember right too, on the chapters, I mean, you can have a chapter of 40 people and only 5 people have to be IBRBS members to make
Correct.
it into an IBRBS chapter, which
Correct.
then would cover the whole event.
Yes.
During the meeting.
Yes, it does. And I know the Garden State Santas, I think I'm about 50%, but I know I was down in Memphis for the ISC, and I sitting down in the lobby with two Santas. They have 2 new Santas. I mean, make us look really adult. Keyword for old. Keyword for old. I'm sitting there talking to them, and they're trying to get involved. They're trying to learn things. They're now part of Garden State Santas. They went down to Memphis to find people and found me. So they were from New Jersey. So I've got 2 new guys. First time. They're just getting started. And you know what? They came to our summer shindig, our summer picnic, and they had a ball. We were talking, and even just the camaraderie, even if it's not the educational part, because we always try to do something. I mean, one time I brought the Nordic runes, the Nordic alphabet, and I had people find their name and figure it out with the alphabet, because that's something we do with. I know I do with some of my stops with people. My toy list is in Nordic rune, and my naughty or nice list is in that alphabet as well, which is nice because once the kids look at it, oh, B-O-B, all right, there is a pattern there, so that it's actual real. And if they ever go look it up, they can actually find something, learn a little something. So there's the teacher in me coming out again. What can I say?
I noticed we had a correction in there that the chapter is not necessarily covered, but the members at the meeting are covered.
Well, the chapter, I believe, is that right, Deanna? I think I've got that right.
Yeah, well, Stephen clarified your comment that the members of the chapter are covered, not the chapter as an entity, because
that's
many
right, yes.
chapters are formed as their own 501c or their own organization. So it's the members of the chapter.
Right, so they're
who are
covered. That's
not
right.
just the IBRBS members of the chapter, but all members of the chapter are covered.
Correct.
Yes.
All members.
So that
all
was
members of the
clarification.
chapter? I think he was saying that all members, only the IBRBS members.
No.
No.
Everybody who comes to the meeting.
The
Okay.
attending members of the chapter are covered, and that's a benefit for the whole chapter, but not as an entity. So
Right,
like
no,
Lone
That's
Star,
kind of what I thought it was before. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Mhm. Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
All right.
Cool. So next question, Jim. It has to be a daunting task to step into the role of president and CEO.
Oh,
And like you said, you're standing on broad shoulders of the work that's been done before by our past presidents and officers and directors. So how are you approaching, with 13 days under your belt, how are you approaching your role to represent the over 2,000 members of IBRBS?
well, I led a department of 50 people in 2 schools, which gives me a little perspective about having your people in the different places and trying to work with them. And the first thing I learned as a supervisor of 2 schools with one science department in each, I was never going to be in the right place at the right time. If I was needed in the high school, I was going to be at the junior high. I've already applied that to this. I'm never going to be where I need to be right away. Something's going to happen, and then I'm going to get a phone call, or I'm going to get an email, or I'm going to get a text, and then I've got to think about where I'm going and make this better, because that's what it comes down to. And once we all get together and we all start working together, we're going to make the world very proud of IBRBS. We're going to make it work, and we're going to make it what we've always said it is, and it really still is, the premier organization, because we've got the membership. We've just got to polish it up a bit, and that's some more benefits. I want some more things for our members to hang on to. I'm very proud. I'm very, very proud and very, very excited about our new membership officer. He's been digging in with all 3 hands, and he's been really getting his handle on this thing. He's got a good 2 months under his belt, so he's an old hand at this point. But I'm pleased. I mean, we've had some good conversations, and it's nice to see somebody. And guess what? He's not one of us old guys. He's one of the younger ones. So that's good for the organization too. And he's giving me perspective, which is good. And I actually have a couple board members that I have challenged to make sure that they keep me on my toes. I've challenged them. I said, listen, when I was just the board member, I challenged things. And when everything came down and decisions were made, I followed through with whatever they said we were going to do. And that's what we did. And that's the way I want everybody on the board. And that's why I really like the membership to feel. they could challenge me. Because quite honestly, if they don't tell me what they want through whatever means they can get it to me, I really don't know. I really don't know what to do other than to keep things going and keep it all forward.
I want to see you as Santa dancing on your toes.
No.
Before we move on, are there any questions from anyone watching at this point for Jim? If there are, just throw them in the chat, and we'll try to get those addressed. You can also contact Jim directly. His email is on the IBRBS.org website, or jkelly@IBRBS.org.
Thank you.
All right.
If I can, I see Stephen Arnold is watching, and he did correct. Thank you. I thought that's what I was trying to say, but I guess, thank you, Stephen Arnold, for chiming in. Appreciate it.
All right. Time to meet our new membership officer for IBRBS. Please welcome John MacLeod to our show.
As John comes in, let me just tell you real quickly a little bit about Mr. John MacLeod. He joined as and was elected as membership officer just a month or two ago in July, and already he's burning the midnight oil. He's throwing one idea after another about how about this, and some of the advertising and some of the posts that you've seen if you're an IBRBS member, coming from John. He lives down in Florida, the muggy, buggy, humid capital of the country.
That would be
for
the
sure.
free state of Florida.
Yes. And, he welcome, John. Glad to have you here. And, very, very similar to John works in luxury retail, and he's a Santa. So that's how does that transition work? Because you still have a day job.
Yes. And I like to say that I started out my adult life as a runway model. That's why I'm in luxury. But that runway was an Air Force C-141 runway. But now here I find myself transitioned to being a Santa, and I blame my daughters. Their swim team needed somebody for the Christmas party to wear a Party City suit. And I had a beard already, so I said, why not? I'll do it. Well, the magic hit me, and I was just entangled in it, and I couldn't think of anything else. And that was a couple years before COVID. And then during the pandemic, I got to just do nothing but just digest everything there was about being a Santa and the Santa community. So with all of that and wind at my back, I find myself now in the position that I'm at, getting more involved in the community to be a bigger piece of the cog in the wheel that makes it all work.
So what made you choose the Department of Membership?
So,
membership officer.
I felt that I come with a different perspective. I'm a young 56, so I felt that as a Gen Xer, it was time that we started bridging the gap between an older generation and the younger generation. If you look around, any of you that go, I just was at our chapter workshop a couple weeks ago at the Palm Tree Santas. And we had a lot of new, young, under 50 Santas, millennials, Gen X. And I feel like it's time for somebody to have their voice and be able to, at the same time, help bridge the gap between the generations and help drive the membership up in regards to younger Santas, knowing where they can go, find resources, find mentors, getting information. When I first came into the community, I got my insurance through IBRBS. That I found it kind of on my own, and then realized, wow, there's a whole community of people here. There's a whole vast landscape of resources and mentors that I can tap into. Now I'm that type of latchkey kid that I'm going to go out there and seek what I want for myself. And I tapped into the community to get what I needed and what I felt. And now I find that there's a whole generation coming up that we need to prepare them and equip them for the nostalgia and the tradition that the older generations have established for us. So I got involved because I feel like I can be that person to bridge that gap and help drive some of that membership up in that community.
John, IBRBS members recently were asked to complete a member survey. Can you share some of the feedback and what?
Oh, yeah, this is some exciting stuff. So being in a business that we do a lot of surveys every year, we did a survey, 2,000 plus members, and we received back 841 results. That is an amazing statistic on a survey. To get that percentage of a return on a survey is just unbelievable. And it speaks loudly in the volumes of a couple of things. One, people want to have a voice, and people want to be a part of the change and part of the direction of the community going forward. And at the same time, maybe they feel like there's some things we can do better. So we've taken that information, all of the survey results, some of the big things that came out of it, the big three or big four, better communication. All right, we need to do better. So we're trying to put more information out. I put some of this out in a memo to everybody on the IBRBS page. We need to have better benefits. Look, we're limited right now as to what you can find on our site, but we are working aggressively. We just recently signed up with Gig Salad to offer our members 50% off a paid membership on Gig Salad, which is fantastic. Everybody likes it, especially these days. Hey, that's an extra bag of groceries, maybe. At the same time, they wanted more support for the chapters. So with Jim trying to explain, we're explaining that there is some advantages to joining the chapter, especially when it comes to the insurance and them being a down portion of the IBRBS as a whole. There's a great opportunity for the chapters, and they need to understand that more of their members need to understand what it means and the value of being in a chapter of IBRBS. And so we're going to continue to offer that support for the chapters, and we're going to plug into our regional representatives and get more information from them that they can plug into the chapters and find out more of what the members in those chapters are looking for from IBRBS. That's part of that communication piece. We're only as good and only as member driven as the information we receive from our members. And when you leave it to a handful of people at the top to make any decisions or not know what people want, then there's people that are left out in the cold that they don't have a say. And we want to make sure that all members have a say in what we do here at IBRBS and how we continue to go forward with our go forward strategy. And then lastly, everybody wanted a better ISC. Memphis was good. Atlanta was better. All I can ever hear about is Denver. So you know what? We have an agenda before us to absolutely make the next ISC out of this world. So we're already brainstorming some ideas. The gentleman that was over the group for ISC, they're working on some ideas. We're looking and communicating with a lot of organizations and chapters. If there's chapters out there that want to put a bid in that their city should host the ISC, by all means, you got to get it into us, because we really want to make that decision here in the very near future as to where we're going to go. And we're going to make a big launch. When we finally land on a place, everybody will know where the next ISC is going to land. And it's going to be exciting for everybody. And we're going to make sure that the members, it's going to be an ISC for the ages, no doubt. Because we're taking the information that we're getting back in these surveys, and we're gonna blow it up, and it's gonna be awesome. And so I look forward to what we're gonna do in that regards. I will say, part of the other great part of the membership was there was a large majority of the members that felt like we needed to broaden our horizons as far as membership goes. Now it's a lot more complex than just say, hey, everybody join. We've got to work through those pieces of it and those avenues to get our membership broadened. But man, we want to make everybody that's part of the Christmas community, we want everybody to be a part of a winning team, be a part of what the go forward is. And let's get excited about what IBRBS can offer everybody as members and what we're going to do going forward. So that's some of just the nuggets that came out of the survey. And it's pretty exciting stuff, especially to be on this side of it and seeing it all. and and slowly getting it out there to everybody so they can get excited about it as well.
Well, I'm excited to see what the new ISC is going to look like, since you've got all the surveys and you're listening to everything. I think that's great. I think this might be a good place to take a short break. Don't go away. We have lots more to cover on the other side of this break. But first, let's run our Santa commercial with our second trivia to follow. Stay with us.
Oh, hello there. Yes, of course, it's me, Santa Claus. Now, you may not believe this, but one of the questions I get asked the most is, well, not how do I do it all in one night? No, but where do I get all my things from? Yes, now, what am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about the finest things I have. My glorious gloves, all my knickknacks and trinkets and things. Yes, all the giveaways. Yes, for me to give to the children before the main event. Yes, if I see them in the streets, if they come and see me, I like to have something in my pocket I can treat them with. Yes, and there's one special place where I can find all these magical goods. And that is, of course, stuffforsanta.com. You should head there now and see what magical gifts you can find. Mrs. Claus, have you got my ice pad? Yes, log me on. I'm going to have a look. I shall see you there. Stuffforsanta.com. Merry Christmas.
Spangle, have you got a movie quote for us today?
Man, I don't know. We might have a movie quote, but let's let these people read this for a minute. And let me tell you, that stuff for Santa is not only for Santa. There's Mrs. Claus, there's elves, there's all kinds of things on there. And tonight, I got to figure out what I'm going to give. I'm going to send the winner a special prize. I didn't even think about that, because we're going to offer for the thing, instead of having a prize this time, we're going to offer 15% off the website. And I'm going to give the winner of the trivia, I think, a $20 gift card to the website. So we'll do that. But the winner's going to get 15% off. We just put a bunch of new stuff on there. So let's go in there and browse around. But anyways, the Christmas quote for today, or the trivia, is, Christmas is just about my favorite time. Ever since I was a little kid, I always felt like it was my own personal holiday. And I think, as us being Santas and Mrs. Claus and performers, we all think that. All right, we want to know who it was and when it was. Or
the Christmas movie title and year.
Yeah. So anyways, Christmas is just my favorite time. Ever since I was a little kid, I always felt like it was my very personal holiday. We need the Christmas movie title and the year. That'll be good. The winner's going to get a $20 card. I'll have to set up the code for you. I'll get with you on that. And then the discount is 15% off. Use TNL Productions for the coupon code.
All right, and they'll need to contact you for the $20 gift card, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I guess now then we'll get back to the show. Moving on to the second half of tonight's program with our guests Deanna Golan, Jim Kelly, and John MacLeod.
And our special friend right here that wants to be Bob.
Oh, you're so right,
And yourself. Thanks again. So John, you mentioned this a little bit earlier, that you're a younger Santa, a young 56, as you mentioned it. So as a Gen Xer and seeing the Christmas community from the lens of the younger generation, the next phase of Clauses coming up, how do you see the Christmas community through that lens? Because IBRBS wants to be responsive to all, the entire Christmas community, from people like Hunter Woodson, who started when he was 18, all the way up to we have clauses in their 80s. So how do you see the Christmas community from the lens of a Gen Xer?
So part of the direction we need to contemplate and we need to include is, look, technology integration. We need to go where that generation is at. We need to meet them in their space as well as the space that we currently operate in. Currently, like on our website, we only really offer one way of payment. So we've got to look at it at broadening how we interact with them digitally, electronically. I mean, technology like tonight's live show. This is amazing stuff. You know, these are the kind of things that we need to consider as we continue to drive forward. But it also revolves around cultural sensitivity. There's a lot going on in our society that we need to be sensitive to. The fact that some of these younger Santas come from a different background and a different perspective. But in bridging that gap, we need to be respectful and mindful of everybody's background and where they're coming from. And then absolutely work-life balance. We need to understand that generationally, older Santas have always been, you know, in the past, maybe not as much anymore, but there's still a good portion of them that are looking for those long-term situations. You know, I want to sit in a chair for X amount of years, or I'm looking for these kind of gigs. Whereas a younger generation Santa, Gen X, millennial, they may be looking for more work-life balance. They got a day job. I have a full-time day job that I deal with, that at the same time I've got to balance and juggle, one, my Santa business, but also IBRBS and other organizations. So we've got to understand that coming from that perspective, there is a work-life balance, and they may not always be interested in those long-term things, but it's also understanding the culture of our demographic client. Now, the clients nowadays, they have a different perspective of what they're looking for from a Santa. You know, it used to be always wanted, the traditional red suit. Some people still want the traditional red suit, but if you look at, and I talk about the retail landscape that I work in, everything's become an entertainment or an experience. Every luxury retailer I've worked for, it's always about the experience. What does the product make the customer feel like? Is it a handbag that they're going to walk down and they're going to feel pretty special walking down the street with that handbag in their hands? So we have to look at, Gen Xers and millennials are looking at, how do I create the experience? But not only are they learning new things, but they can also seek out and mentor and have mentors from an older generation that can give them the nostalgia, the traditions, because I feel that the younger generations, they want to respect the craft. It's just innate in them to respect the craft and the traditions and the nostalgia, but at the same time put more of a modern spin on things. There's so much out there I see, you know, in the community, different suit-wise and different pieces of how people put their characters together. So, you know, we need to be mindful and respectful of all of those in the community, because people are coming from a younger perspective, has a different idea of what experience they want to deliver to the client. Because the younger clients nowadays, you know, corporately, they look for something different. But a regular home visit or a mom or a grandmother, they want to give their grandchild or their son or daughter an experience. And that's the difference now than probably years past. Years past, the experience was happy to get a picture with Santa and go and see him at the mall. Not anymore.
Or to get that.
Yeah, every mall's got 15 restaurants around it now, because it's all used to be you just went shopping. Not anymore. It's going to be an experience. They got putt-putt golf. They got Top Golf. They got, you know, restaurants and bowling alleys and everything else that's involved around it to create a giant experience. And that's what we need to look at. As coming from my perspective, how do we as an organization help bridge the gap between those two generations and people, you know, and that comes through what we do at the ISC, what we support our chapters doing, if they have workshops and those sort of things. How do we continue to deliver that message and provide them the information and the data that helps support that perspective? As membership officer, that's my goal, is to get that information into everybody's hands so that we can all communicate better and cohesively.
Yeah, I like talking with the older generations because they tell you how things are done and why they were done that way. But then when you talk with the younger ones, they come in with a fresh new look about things, and you're like, "Wow, that's kind of cool. I like that." We can take that, mix it in with a little bit of this, and have some pizzazz.
Just like there's going to be no more Northern Lights left because it's going to be in all those little wooden boxes.
That's right. Sorry, Deanna.
No. I think that's perfect, and I think the mentioning the fact that everything now is an experience is also why you're seeing more and more types of venues that are offering experience events. More resorts are creating the experience events. More malls are. There's more North Pole experience. There's more and more of these things, and they're not just reaching out to the younger clauses for those events. They also are bridging the gap because the expectations are so much different on the experience types of events and venues. But it's such an important thing. So those venues see what the current generation is looking for, those memories, those experience. Doesn't matter who's paying for it. It might be grandma and grandpa,
Right.
or mom and dad for the youngers. But it's a great point.
I think there's also a piece in there, I don't mean to interrupt, but there's also a piece in there about wellness and health. Because as we see some of the older generation, look, I know for myself, I was diagnosed with type 2 in January. You know what? I had to change myself because I was heading down a path that wasn't healthy. And so we can learn, some of the younger generations can learn from their mentors in the older generations about how to maintain your health during the season and your wellness. And those are opportunities they get from the chapter meetings, because those are things they can learn about. Well, you're going to be go for 2 months solid. You need to learn how to take care of yourself.
It's not even 2 months anymore, because if you get into the experience thing with photographers, I'm starting the last weekend in September, and I'm going weekends all the way through because it's blowing up here in New Jersey anyway. And quite honestly, Santa's got to start looking at that, because that's a whole different. That's improvisation. So we've got to help them with that too, because when you get involved in something, you're sitting with a kid for 45 minutes and you've got to hit 10 different marks for 10 different pictures and still keep the character flowing. There's a whole different set of skills, and we've got to help Santas with that stuff too, because that's where the market is going.
I agree with Jim. We've got to be able to help them, and you help them by offering resources like School of Santa, letting them know where to go and get these skill sets at. We can't, we're never going to be in the school business, but we can be a resource that helps people say, hey, we offer a scholarship. How many Santas don't know that we offer a scholarship for schools? $250. I was the beneficiary last year of a scholarship, and I got to use it for a school this year. It was fantastic to take that little bit off the top and go continue to build my skills as a Santa, because IBRBS offers a scholarship. That's something that we need to promote more. Our chapters need to promote more, and we really wish we'd get more applicants for the scholarship. And when that opens up later this year, what does it open up in the spring, actually, right, Deanna?
Yeah, it opens January through March of each year.
Apply for that, John, Jim, or Deanna?
I'm sorry, Scott, what was that?
How do they go about applying for that scholarship? For those
any
IBRBS,
Yeah, any IBRBS member, when it's announced, there'll be a communication blast in both email as well as social media, announcement on the website when the application process opens, a little bit ahead of time. And it's a simple application. There's a committee that takes a look at all of the applications and makes a judgment on the merits of the application and some eligibility criteria, makes a decision is no later than early April, so that the recipient of those scholarships can get their award and go to school.
Did IBRBS, do they do, or did they do in the past? It seems like I remember something about this, that they used to do a scholarship thing for Santa's like grandchildren and things like that for education.
Yeah, there was a higher education scholarship, and quite honestly, after Tom Carmody passed, and There quite honestly, there weren't many applications for that. So we just redirected and created more scholarships for the clauses to go to a Christmas performer school. So we
I
kept,
thought I remembered something about that.
yeah, used to be, right. They're just, yeah,
And
there was more value to keep, yeah, more value to members to make more scholarships available to members.
I would encourage any member out there who wants to send me an email about what they think we should have for benefits or resources, please send it to me. We're looking for any and all. Nothing is too pie in the sky at this point. We're entertaining anything and everything because my goal is to be a point of landing to get either resources, benefits. We need to build some value in being a member, and I truly believe in that. So.
All right, before we move on, let's ask our viewers if they have any questions for John. Just drop them in the chat, and we'll star them and come back to them in a little while.
I would like to just make a little bit of an announcement. Right now, very soon, our members should be looking for, well, anybody who actually went to the last ISC in Memphis should be looking for a survey, because that's one place we really want that information back. What'd you like? What do you want to see? What do we do right? What do we do wrong? We need to see all of that from people, but it also comes with that wonderful certificate you can print for yourself, because everybody likes that. Everybody likes to have that certificate with their name on it. So that's coming out, and when that comes out and you get that email, don't throw it away or look for it in your junk box or whatever. But it's going to come from us soon, and I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that's coming.
to go back to the scholarship, if you've been granted the scholarship, what's the time frame you have in order to use it?
Right now, it's the same calendar year, which is why the recipients, most people who are applying for scholarship already know what school they want to go to that year. They've either already registered, or they're planning to register within that year. So right now, it's a scholarship that will be used within the calendar year.
Maybe they should.
Granted,
Can I throw a suggestion out here for you guys?
Sure.
Maybe it should be good for 1 year, not just for the calendar year, because there are some schools popping up in January and February now that if you were not drawing it until March, they would never have that opportunity.
Well, with the exception that if you haven't yet attended, IBRBS will send the scholarship funds to the school. If you've already attended, IBRBS will send the scholarship award to you.
Okay.
So it will cover that. But I will also say that that's one of the things that the scholarship committee is looking at, the timing. There's a lot of factors that go into that, and as far as the timing, but noted on the list.
yeah, from the time it's granted till the time it's granted, a year would be really fair too. So I think that's what you were saying, wasn't it, Spangle?
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's up to 12 scholarships at this point.
Yeah. Deanna, do you know Jim's email address?
I do. I tried to type it into the chat box, but I don't know if typing in an email address gets trapped or not. But it is on the website, but it is J MacLeod, JMacLeod at IBRBS.org. Or you can also send to membership at IBRBS.org. And JMac gets that, as well as other members of the membership committee.
Okay. Did Angela get that up on the screen for us?
Not yet.
There it is.
Not yet.
There it is.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
So I do see a question about what can a member do to help. So we do have a volunteer portal. You have to go in and fill out the volunteer form, and so the information is there on the page, right, Deanna, on the IBRBS page for the volunteer form.
Once you log in and you go to your member portal, in the upper right hand corner is a link for resources, and there's a link to a volunteer interest survey. You can pick one or several different areas, what your skill sets are, what your interest areas are, what you want to join. Jim Kelly can talk more about the process because he's not only president and CEO, he's been our volunteer coordinator for the past few years.
Well, that's yes, go ahead.
Go ahead.
We're the process. You fill it out. You tell us what you can do and how you can do it. There's some guiding questions, some different categories you can pick. Quite honestly, then that gets compiled and gets sent to the volunteer coordinator. And I've got to get after that guy because he needs to keep reading those things. Because I read them, I try to contact those people, I try to talk to them. Because we really got to get more volunteers and we've got to get a bunch of offices filled. But at the same time, by doing that, you will then set off this process where you got to do a COE, the COE, COI, Cayette, certificate of ethics, certificates of I. Well, you got to go through some forms. Then when I talk to you, we'll look and see. I'll say, hey, how would you like to work with communications? How would you like to work with membership? How would you like to work with how would you like to work with governance? If that's what you've done in the past, you've worked with policies and procedures. If that's your bag, we'll get you into governance. Quite honestly, if you're in events, we'll try and do something to get you involved with the events people. We're also looking to make this process a lot faster than it was before. So, yeah, John's snickering over there. He and I had a long conversation about this. We got people volunteering in, and we're taking 6 months to get them placed, which is not the way it should be. We should be placing people and getting them up and running within a month. And that's my goal. That's my personal goal for getting volunteers active quickly. So go on the website, fill it out. Expect a phone call from some strange guy named Jim Kelly, and until I get a new volunteer coordinator, and then I'll talk to you about what you think you can do for us and how we can help you do that for us.
Okay, a few more questions, Jim and John, or Jim or John can address these. And IBRBS has affiliated chapters. Yes. What is the value for a Santa, Mrs. Claus, or elf to belong to a chapter?
Well, different chapters have different levels of what they do. Some chapters are incorporated, I don't know, and they have their own insurance and everything else. And then there's my group. My group is just starting out like 4 or 5 years ago. We've decided that we just want to be there for each other. We want to have, first of all, you ever get sick, you can't do a gig, you have nobody to call, then you have to make that horrible phone call to the family or whoever. I'm sorry, I can't come. If you've got some backup and other people in your chapter can back you up and you can back them up, it makes all the difference in the world. Having meetings and really just sitting around, we don't collect dues. We eat, we work together. If I keep asking them at every meeting, do you want this to be more? Do you want us to do more? Do we want to have a formal education thing? But it's up to the chapters. And when you check out a chapter, figure out what they do, because each one does it ever so much differently than the other. I mean, palm tree Santas, they're so organized, it's not even funny. They've got websites and, but
yeah, and it costs more to be a palm tree Santa than it does to be a full IBRBS member.
Yeah. Well, you're getting value.
Right.
My people don't want more. They want the camaraderie. They want to be able to depend on each other. So
right,
why is it more expensive, John?
Well, we have a website that you can be on. It's basically a work site. So it's like our own gig salad. So a customer can go to the website and click on a county they live in Florida, and it pops up all the Santas that work that county, and they can select that. Now you got to pay to be a member and be on that site. So that's part of the expense.
Well, that's a great perk for being part of the Palm Tree Santas, obviously, then.
And we do, and it's also attached to the Santa drill team. So we do a lot of things to support the Santa drill team as well.
Okay.
Well, IBRBS puts on a celebration every 2 years, the ISC. Anything you can share about what will happen in 2026?
There will be an ISC.
Good answer.
And it will be out of this world. What do we say, Dan?
Oh,
It's going to be like we're going to Mars because that's the red planet.
If someone wants to support IBRBS, how do they join and how do they volunteer? And I think you've answered some of that already, but how they would go to what, the IBRBS.org website to join?
correct. You go to that website, you go, I believe, across, and there's a spot where you go down and find membership, and then they're very good at making sure that you put in all the boxes and fill out everything you need to fill, and then they'll ask you for a way for your $32.50 because we're not really expensive when it all comes down to it. So we don't really have that big, huge budget, but from there you can get a background check, and you can get your insurance and different levels of insurance.
We do offer the $2 million, $4 million option that some of the larger retail operations ask for from their Santas.
Yep.
So that is an option with our insurance, the $2 million, $4 million option.
And
Like
I see
Cabela's or Bass Pro.
I see there's a big join button on our website. I've been informed. And thank you, Stephen.
Yeah.
And
It's on the
been a long time.
homepage.
It's been a long time since I hit that button. So,
Jim, well, here's one for you. What about new members? Do you personally give them a phone call and say, "Hey, welcome"? That used to be done a while back.
Yeah, that was Don White, I believe. He was a great man. Does anybody want to volunteer? I got a position open. No, and he, again, on the shoulders of giants. Don White was a great man. He did an awful lot for this organization, and he had that personal touch. And that's, wait a minute.
He spent his day like this.
I'm over here writing down, or I'm writing that down again. Figure out
Melissa,
how I can
we'll
do that.
talk. Yes. So I will say that there is, so the process had been, this was with Don White and then with Tom Carmody as well, and with the regional representatives, the district representatives. And then we've also got one person, who's tasked with making those phone calls to new members to have that personal touch. So John has that position under the membership tier. He can speak to that, but we're also trying to make sure that everybody gets the right information at the right time, and with getting those names.
We are consistent at getting their new member packets out, so they do get their stickers and their patches and all that good stuff. Jenny Scott does an awesome job at that portion of a new member packet. So they may not get a phone call now every time right now. We're working on that piece, but they do get their new member packet religiously. So she's done an excellent job of getting that out.
And we also know that we want to make sure that as new members or renewing members, that you also know that you have a point of contact and a regional representative. So, here's this decentralized board, but you've got someone in your own backyard, whether it's a regional representative who covers multiple states or a district representative who covers your state or part of a state, and make sure, we're working to make sure that you get that information. We were filling that out. And honestly, when Tom Carmody passed away a couple of years ago, a lot of that, he was doing so much of that himself. And so we're trying to pick up those pieces of what he was doing and, who was doing it, and which is also where volunteering. And I've seen, several names showing up that you're going to volunteer. Fantastic.
Yeah. Those are big shoes to fill after Tom.
Big shoes.
And as you said, the $32.50, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's really a bargain if you think about it, because a background check is going to cost you $15 somewhere or more, and the patch is going to those are $3 or $4, and so on and so forth, and the postage, and of course everything's getting cheaper, as we all know, right?
John, can you speak to the two types of membership between the full and the associate?
So you can get a full membership. So you're the Santa, and you're the full member. Let's say your spouse they're not a Christmas performer, but they can also be an associate member, and I believe that's $10. Am I mistaken? Or is that's still the 15? I can't remember. But you can also have the two memberships. So Mrs. Claus could be a full member, and the Santa could be a full member. Unfortunately, we still have some work to do on other Christmas performers joining and being an associate member. But right now, it's just a Mrs. Claus and a Santa.
Or just Mrs. Claus.
Or just Mrs. Claus. Yep.
Yeah, she doesn't have to. She doesn't have to have a particular Mr.
Yeah,
Claus.
kick him to the curb and you join.
Yeah, you don't need him.
All right. So why don't we go to our viewers and see what comments we got here?
Well, we got a lot of comments tonight.
Our chapter is approximately 200 or so in New England. Santa Society, we just had our annual camp. That's from Ernie.
Yep.
Melissa Rickard said, I would have loved you as a teacher, Santa Jim.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
John Dozer says, John is a great mentor.
It was a what was that, John Doe?
Jamie Dozer said, even photography is turning more to an experience.
Yes.
Okay. Gary says, explain please exactly who can be a full member under the current guidelines, and do you see it changing in the future? I think we kind of just went over that a little bit. And
if I could just add one caveat to that, the bearded Santas and Mrs. Clauses, because women were allowed to join in their own right as a full member in 2018, all because the members voted on a bylaws change. So the last bylaws change allowed for a new level of membership for the associate group, for the other supporters and traditional bearded, to kind of broaden our horizons, as John has mentioned, and only because the members voted to approve a change in the bylaws. If we can expand further, it requires a bylaws change. And so one of the things that the board will be looking at is putting together a team, not just of the board and the officers, but of members, to again look at the bylaws and see, are we keeping pace? Are we keeping up with the demands and the needs of our membership base? So that's one of the things that will be happening. And so to answer his question, we'll be able to do that with the bylaws change.
How does the board go about deciding if they should bring something to a vote? Like traditional beers, or if they wanted something else. And since it's a membership-driven community, the community would vote to see if it's allowed or whatever.
Right.
But how does the board go about deciding, well, we need to bring this to a vote?
Information bubbles up from chapters, from members, from regional reps, from district reps. Things bubble up. There's a survey that went out and asked specifically that question. So we get the pulse of the membership. The board then takes a look at that, and we go from there.
Okay, so you kind of get a survey going, and then you decide there's enough interest in it to bring the vote to the public, to the group.
Yes.
Jamie Dozer said, I'd like to know more, or I'd like to know about the scholarships. I'll try to answer that, and y'all correct me. Jamie, the scholarships come out to be applied for in the January area, and they are voted on, and they are granted in April. And you go to the IBRBS.org website, and that's where you'll find them. Did I do that correctly, guys?
In a nutshell.
Okay, I don't want to be a volunteer. I don't have time. AJ said, John, to tell you hello. AJ,
Hey,
Bell.
AJ.
He says he sees you on other formats.
Hey, AJ.
All right.
I think there's one thing that we have not spoken about, and I think it's very important that we bring it up, and that is Santa's Heart. So we do have another portion or another arm of our membership, and that is those that do charity work. We're working to, we've got a committee we're putting together to revisit Santa's Heart as a whole and make sure that we are doing right by our members that actually get out there and do charity work and submit their hours every year, or submit the things that they're doing charity wise, so that they can be recognized with a pin, with the recognition. We think it's important that as an organization, we must be doing some philanthropy work. That's part of giving back. And so we can't remiss on not speaking about it, because it's a very important part of what we do as Santas, or as a Christmas community. And so that is a portion of our organization. And we do always want to make sure we recognize those Santas and those Mrs. Clauses, those performers that are out there doing that kind of work. So don't be shy about submitting yourself. If you're going to see it on the website, please, by all means. I know there's, some people say they hadn't gotten their pins or something, but we want to do right by our members and get you what you're entitled to. And that is one of the things. You have my commitment that we will make sure we recognize those that do that sort of work, because that's giving back to the community and giving back to the world at large is what we do. And that's really at the heart of being a Christmas performer. So we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about that a little bit.
Jamie Dozier said, John, what? Go ahead, Swangle.
Santa Mike brought up and said it's a little concerning over the changes at IBRBS lately, and a little worried about that. But I think if I was to answer it, I would be saying that IBRBS felt that there were some changes that need to be done. It's a very strong organization, and they are moving forward to better serve the members.
Mm-hmm.
Santa, I want to know if the scholarships are just available for full members, or can associate members apply for them?
We already talked about, yeah.
Yeah, right now it's associate. But I do want to just clarify one thing. As far as who can be a member, there is a caveat, and that went through with the last bylaws that we were just mentioning, that any Christmas performer who is the spouse of a full member is also eligible to be a full member. So if I am, as a Mrs. Claus, a full member, my spouse Grinch is eligible to be a full member. If a Mrs. Claus, so if I don't want there to be any confusion, but the spouse of a full member can be a full member. And if you have questions about that, reach out to Jim or John or me, and we can clarify that. But it's in the bylaws as well, and every member can also read the full set of bylaws from their member portal. It's under the resources tab.
And when the question about the restructuring, look, every good organization evolves, and I mentioned it earlier about why I got involved, and that is to help bridge the gap. People in this, if there's anything I've learned in the Christmas performer community the last number of years, is people retire, people pass on, they take their last ride. We need to constantly be evolving as an organization and continuously. It's not restructuring when people move in and out of different positions. It's not necessarily restructuring. It's just new blood, new ideas, new direction, or refocus of the same direction. Catch me if I'm wrong, Deanna, but it's not really a restructuring. It's just, a little bit of a blood transfusion even.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff McMullen said, as IBRBS expands its membership, is a name change in order?
That's going to be a big thing that the membership would have to decide on. But quite honestly, we're IBRBS right now, because we don't have any real bearded Mrs. Clauses yet. But So the Real Bearded thing is part of the membership, but at the same time, I know myself, I'm watching the Santa community get more ethnically, more diverse, and that we have to make sure that we can keep including, because everybody needs to have a sense of community, a place to go, and the Mrs. Clauses need to be included. There are some people that do a really good job at being an elf. Now, we've got to figure out how we're going to do that too. But I see the organization growing. I don't know how fast it's going to grow in that direction, but I can see that sooner or later we're going to have a lot more eligibility. And I know one thing: we need to make sure that we take care of the people that are here first, and then grow the organization.
We need to put this out to our viewers to take the letters IBRBS and see if they can come up with another thing that makes it all inclusive by still using those letters. And that might be an option for us.
Yep, there you go.
And the one that comes up with it, that's the winner, will offer a scholarship to North Pole Cornerstones, a chance for that scholarship as well as a chance for the SOS. Am I correct, Spangle? So get a chance for the person that comes up with the new name that uses the same acronym.
This is live. You already said it.
Well, that's the way it's going to happen. But you get a chance in the drawing. I'll even do that. I'll step out on the limb. We'll see what we come up with, you guys.
I second the motion.
As a member of IBRBS, and if we're in good standings with IBRBS, can we put the logo on our website? Ernest Bosello wants to know.
And I just posted, I tried to put the link in there, but again, if you go to your member portal under membership and resources, the third link says IBRBS logos and trademarks, and it tells you all of the ways where you are allowed to use the logo, like on your business card or on your website or on any kind of use or with chapters and things like that. So please take a look at the IBRBS logos and trademarks document. And if you have questions, reach out.
And remember, if you put an IBRBS sticker on your car, remember how you drive.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like a Grinch.
You're representing all of us.
Yes.
Spangle?
Jamie Dozer says he's learned a lot tonight. Thank you, and great show. Gary Linder says thank you for all your answers, guys.
I see somebody mentioned something about international. So I know Howard just went to across the pond. So we're looking forward to, there are some other interests out there across the globe about even starting chapters in other countries. So we're still looking to entertain all of that and truly live up to the name in our name as far as international goes. So we are looking through that avenue and how we can make that happen.
Yeah, if you go on the website and you go under chapters and you go all the way down to the bottom, there's a space for international chapters there. We just need to fill it in.
We need to fill it in. And I think we all want to encourage you as members or as prospective members to really go out and look at the website. There's more information there than you might realize. There's a lot of information about under the resource. Some of it very much like the Palm Tree Santas was saying, like, there's access to a page only for members of that site, and then there's a public site. So there's so much, whether it's about the benefits, about the insurance, about the scholarships, Santa's Heart, how to become a chapter, about IBRBS, all of these things, our goals, what we stand for, and then a whole bunch of resources available to you. So and that's one thing that we also wanted feedback on, is that is there more information? What can we do to add to this? Because the website itself is a resource to you. So how can we expand that and meet your needs?
Very good. I think tonight's show's been really, really great. We want to say thank you to our newest contributor to the TNL family. Maybe. Angela?
We want to thank Lynn Talbert Insurance Services for sure. That is our newest contributor. And Angela will run the.
Scott, do you got the answers to the trivia?
I absolutely do. Are we ready to move on to that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Well, we'll reveal tonight's trivia answers. The School of Santas. What year was Silly Putty discovered and by who? What year was it introduced to the public and by who? And who acquired the exclusive manufacturing rights to Silly Putty and what year? The first answer is 1943 by James Wright, 1950 by Peter Hodgson. Well, that's a mouthful. And Crayola actually ended up with it in 1977.
I want to know what happened between 1943 and 1950 with it. There's 7 years of undocumented stuff with Silly Putty.
It wasn't so silly.
Okay, the winner for that trivia is Rick Maynard.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Rick. The stuff for Santa.com. It's a movie quote. The Christmas is just about my favorite time ever since I was a little kid. I always felt like it was my own personal holiday. That was Ernest Saves Christmas in 1988. And congratulations to Santa Mail.
Yay.
Lynn, good job.
I'll have to find her information before I can get a hold of her.
Okay, you'll probably, I may have it. I'll try to help you out there, Spangle. All right, before we close, Deanna has 3 more fun questions for Jim and John. Deanna?
Uh-oh.
Okay, real quickly, to each of you, Jim first, because Mrs. Claus spends a lot of time in the kitchen trying to bake a lot of cookies for Santa and all of the elves. So what is your favorite cookie to have Mrs. Claus bake for you?
I get this question a lot for some reason. I don't understand it, but when I actually answer this question, I basically put my hand up like this and say, if it's right here, that's my favorite cookie.
The one I'm holding. Perfect.
The one I'm holding.
And John?
Yeah, the one that's already in my stomach, because I probably killed it.
Yep. And when I'm asked that question about what Santa's favorite cookies is, I say the one that's in the oven.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Jim, do you have a favorite Christmas song or story?
I could watch the original Miracle on 34th Street nonstop, day after day. I see little things in there. I see little nuances. I see Santa doing little things that I hope I do. And the stories I've heard about that movie where that little girl actually believed Edward Gwynn was Santa Claus. If I can keep that in my heart, that's my favorite movie / story.
Love it. John?
Well, I'll go the opposite. I'll go with a song. My absolute favorite song is the 1946 rendition of Jingle Bells by Frank Sinatra with the Ken Lane Singers. I could play that 50 times in a row. The Jingle. I love that.
You're a young Santa with an old heart.
That's it. I got an old soul.
With an old soul. Awesome. So, John, last question. Tell us one secret about Santa that nobody knows.
So this secret is, and nobody knows this, but all of my socks have a hole where the big toe is that Mrs. Claus has to sew up every Christmas day, because all those sudden stops, that's the toe that hits the front of my boots every time the sleigh stops on the roof. And by the time the night is over, I've worn a hole through the end of my toe.
Great secret. Jim, tell us a secret.
When people ask me, what most people don't realize is that There are 24 time zones, and at Christmas happens 24 times. Every year, a different midnight. And to be able to go all the way around the earth in one night, if you're really good, you can do it in 1 hour. So the secret is it's not necessarily keeping time and holding it back. It's your route. It's all about how you get there. And that's too many true in so many things. How you get there. The destination might be great, but quite honestly, how you get there. That's what matters.
Hey, I want to throw some. Oh, I'm sorry.
Those are awesome answers. Spangle, go ahead and throw something in there.
I'm going to throw something in there. What's my favorite Christmas song? What's the theme of the song for the School of Santas? There's Another Santa Claus by Bob Rivers.
Oh.
I challenge you all out there watching the show, even our guests tonight, to go look that up. It's hilarious.
It's a great song. Thanks for sharing that, Spangle. Hey, let's go in and run the ad on our newest contributor, Talbot Insurance. Go ahead and run that, Angela. And we want to thank Larry Talbot for being on board with us and standing behind us and believing in us. Our shows are free, and if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be able to necessarily do this. Spangle, you got any closing thoughts?
Well, man, I just think this thing was really good. I think if you're not an IBRBS member, you should be really thinking hard about joining this. If you're a past IBRBS member, maybe it's time to get back on that website and get back in there.
Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on the show. Jim, John, Deanna, it's been a great show, and y'all been great featured guests, and I can't thank you enough for being here tonight and taking your time away from your family. And Lenny, of course, and being here with us and sharing all the new things coming out from IBRBS.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
All right. Join us next week for our next TNL episode, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. And you can't forget to catch the Monday show with Bob and Randall, Mondays, 3 p.m. Central.
The Kringle Brothers, it's Kringle time, can be seen every Wednesday at 7 Central, 8 Eastern. And don't forget,
all right,
Kringle Brothers Facebook is on Facebook, and Kringle Brothers on YouTube. And the TNL Facebook, you can find it there each night on Wednesday, 7 Central, 8 Eastern.
All right. Join Santa Mel on Thursday, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern, Santa's Magical Fellowship. She's always got something kicking on right after that at 7 p.m., 8 p.m. Eastern time.
So tune in, kick up your heels, join in the fun 4 days a week, all powered by the TNL Network Productions. A big thank you to School of Santa, Stuff for Santa, Holiday Photo Magic, Therm Apparel, Sat Bob's, NorthPoleCornerstones.com, SantaNana.com, NationwideSantas.com, and Santa's Magical Fellowship Group. Tell everyone good night, Spangle.
Good night, Spangle.
Remember, join us for our Tuesday night live each week, 7 p.m. Same Claus time, same Claus channel. Count your blessings, not your sorrows. May your troubles be small and your blessings be large. Have a blessed week. And until next time, on behalf of the whole TNL production crew, Spangle, Jessica, Melissa, Lynn, Rob, Randall, Angela, myself, and Bob, of course, I'm Scott Saratine, and saying good night. Remember, always let your Claus heart shine bright. Never stop learning. Hope to see y'all on Monday, right back here on Tuesday. Good night, all. Happy Clausing.